Alright, let's do a video on this, Chrissy. I wanted to for a while.
The optics are the problem, not the historical relevance, and not, the ancient African etymology. I'm sorry, y'all. It's the impact that matters. And I just want to reiterate, it's not about the looks or the aesthetic in the movie. We know the women aren't supposed to look, or the warriors, rather. We know they're not supposed to look all dolled up in a warrior movie. That's not what we're asking for. We're asking for more viral, soft representation for Black women. We're asking for balance. And we're asking for it to be pushed like this movie. Like, if I swear I wouldn't do these videos, y'all, if the feminine archetype of Black women was pushed as hard as the warrior arc. Like, I wouldn't make these videos if it was more balanced. I wouldn't.
I can understand that there is a representation of Black women being strong and so forth. Even though I do think that when you promote or you have the idea, and I don't think Chrissy does this, but when people out there act like Black women are a bigger woman, it kind of creates the idea that Black women are a stronger woman, because obviously bigger usually is equated with being stronger. So it's not really, I don't think, even a part of that. I think it has to do with the stereotypes pushed by certain people, basically. But I don't think this... So I would say this part I would kind of agree with. Anyway, continue.
And I'm seeing Black women push it as well. And I think it's worth examining why we want to see ourselves depicted this way so much. I think we need to examine that. I think we need to unpack that. Is it because it's historically accurate and it's just, who we are? Or is it because we've been conditioned to believe that this is the only way that we matter? Is it because we've been conditioned to believe that our primary job in this life and in this community is to fight on the front lines for Black men against white supremacy? Because our main roles...
That's because of the hierarchy, though. Don't you get it? When people think of it in that sense, Black women get deduced to the very bottom because there's so many things to fight for when you're a Black woman. So then it's easier to just fight for Black men who have only one plight and one problem because they're men. So you could say that some people have thought to win through Black men is the only way they're going to win because they have too many things to fight for as a Black woman. I think that's the original and the initial way that a lot of Black women became more the type that would fight for Black men because they felt like that was their only way of fighting for themselves. This is the only way in a society where white men were the head of society could relate to Black women was through Black men and our proximity to Black men. But continue.
We're either the help, we're the mammy, we're the Jezebel, or we're the superheroes, or we're otherworldly and magic, and now we're being heavily portrayed as LGBT, and that's what I was talking about earlier. Like, and look, nothing is wrong with the variety of representation. I think there's room for everyone to be represented, even the LGBT. I like some of the sci-fi stuff. I like some of the fantasy stuff. But ask yourself, why is it that every time we're depicted, we're alternative? Y'all don't see the problem in that? Like, why can't we just have regular promotion? Why can't we have normal, everyday representation for dark-skinned Black women that actually goes viral?
The thing is with this situation is this. You don't make it normal. Think of it. You first talk about dark skin. That's not normal. If you were acting like you need regular representation, like white women get regular representation, well, regular white women don't say we need dark-skinned representation, we need fair-skinned representation, we need medium-skin tone representation. If you want regular representation like them, act regular like them, act normal like them, but you don't because you're too narcissistic. And there's probably white women who are narcissistic like you. Mental illness is rampant among many races of women. So I'm pretty sure there is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman or a dark-haired woman who wants to see all dark-haired women in representation, or all blonde-haired, blue-eyed women in representation, and for them to have the exact same features as her. But obviously you're going to be in the minority because not everyone's ill or crazy like that, okay? So a lot of people who want normal representation of white women or normal representation of black women are not going to be going all picky on what skin tone somebody is. Anyway, continue.
Is being pushed like the Woman King and Black Panther. And again, it's not white men's job. It's not the white media's responsibility to do that. It's black men's job. It's black people's responsibility to do that.
And that's an entitlement, too. Why do you think that black men are supposed to represent dark-skinned black women? I don't get that. So you mean to say that someone who is a light-skinned black man or a brown-skinned black man is supposed to show more representation and favoritism over dark-skinned women and to slight, basically, women of his own phenotype and his own skin tone for dark-skinned women? Why is that something that brown-skinned or light-skinned men should do, but dark-skinned men should not do it for light-skinned women? I mean, why do you think? I feel like with this whole situation, you guys already get the standard of blackness. People think a black person, they go straight to a dark-skinned black person. At best, they'll do somebody who is brown-skinned, but most of the time, it's a dark-skinned person. And even when it's a brown-skinned person, it's a in quotations, brown-skinned person, a person who doesn't want to be called dark-skinned. Let's just say that. They're really honestly in the dark-skin category of things, and somehow you don't get representation when literally the standard of blackness is you. People think of you when they think of a black person. They don't think of Stephen Curry when they think of a black person, even though he's a black person with 8 great-grandparents that are black as well. You know what I mean? And at that, he's FBA. All 8 are FBA. You're not even FBA. You're Jamaican. But anyway, continue.
However, since only one depiction of us is going viral and we have to literally dig for the others, then that means they do have an agenda, and I take issue with that. If you're going to intentionally promote us being strong and in the struggle more than you do anything else, then yeah, I'm going to object to that, whether it's your job or not. And I've said this before, but I'd rather dark-skinned black women not be promoted at all rather than to have lopsided promotion like this, where the masculine archetype dominates everything else. I'd rather you just not promote me at all.
To me, I mean, the masculine archetype is argued and pushed for all black women. That's not specifically dark-skinned black women. That's all black women. I mean, if it's not, then how come what I guess you guys are now calling light skin, which is weird. You've changed what you thought light skin was originally, but people like Megan Thee Stallion, Rihanna, Nicki Minaj, Ciara, people like that have all been called men in the past. They have clearly had their images masculinized in crazy ways. So, I mean, obviously, black women are masculinized regardless of their color. I've even seen people masculinize people like Mariah Carey or Paula Patton, who are mixed people, but you get what I'm saying. women of African ancestry are masculinized regardless of their color. And when you try and act like it's not that way, it's just to me like you just are saying, I am not willing to admit that it's other women who are masculinized despite color, because all I care about is my own image. Because I'm a narcissist, that's all I care about. I don't really care about black women's image. I don't care about black women. I only care about black women who look like me. That's all you are, is a narcissist. And that's why you only focus on black women who are dark-skinned, who are being masculinized. Well, many dark-skinned black women will masculinize another lighter-skinned black woman's image, and slander another lighter-skinned black woman's image. And somehow, you don't associate that with masculinizing black women's image when it is. You guys literally tried to sink another black woman and drown another black woman so you can stay up. But you don't realize through that process, you literally are hurting yourself because you are a part of the collective whole. You're too narcissists to even see that you belong to the collective whole because you're so stuck on your own damn image.
Period. And look, I'm at a place, y'all. Hold on, y'all.
I don't know where she went, huh?
Okay, I'm back. I was gonna say, I'm at a place in my life where, I can watch a movie with some colorism in it. I can listen to a song that has a colorist lyric and be able to compartmentalize and be like, the lyrics suck, but that melody and that beat is good. Or I'll say, the way they cast this movie or show is colorist as hell, but the movie or show itself is pretty good. The actors are good. And I'm saying that because I want you guys to know that I'm actually not as much of a strickler as some of you guys may think. Even though I pick up on almost everything colorist and everything problematic and everything anti-black woman, if it's in there, I'm probably going to pick up on it.
No, you're just trying to pick up on being colorist. How can you turn it into being okay? A lot of times this happens, and this isn't just with dark-skinned black women. Racist people will do this too. People who hate someone need to come up with an excuse to hate someone. And so any little thing they will pick up on so they can use against them, so then they can say that this is a reasonable reason they hate that person without trying to connect it to the fact that they hate their skin tone, that they hate their race. She is not absolved from this. She is quite the same. She literally tries to find different reasons and different situations to explain why she has an issue with someone who is lighter skinned, why she is being triggered right now for having dark skin, and so forth, and trying to turn it into something that is less disturbing than what it actually is. If you look at the surface of it, it looks less problematic, what she's saying. But deep down, we can all see that what it really means is that she's just insecure about herself. She's just bothered by light-skinned women, not because she actually hates that skin tone, but because she has a love for their skin tone and a hate for her own, and an anger for why she is dark, and a desire to be like those who are lighter. Anyway, continue.
Okay? And I don't need a bunch of fairy tale promotion. However, I do realize that it's not how most people perceive and internalize promotion. If most people did that, then businesses wouldn't use promotion to persuade people to buy their products. Promotion wouldn't trigger so many people's emotions if we were able to not personalize it, if most of us were able to do that. So many of you black women in the chat box right now, you wouldn't be on such a high after watching this movie because it made you feel so powerful if you knew if you knew how not to personalize representation. So with me knowing that, this is why I encourage more balance, and this is why I have to be kind of anal about this stuff, because I know y'all are probably listening like, Chrissy, you just didn't want us to enjoy the movie. I have to be anal about it because I know how y'all are internalizing. And because I know what it leads to, I have to encourage more balance with dark-skinned female promotion. I have to do it to offset all of this strong black woman imagery, and I have to push for corrective promotion. I just have to.
But even if you were promoted in a feminine way, if you're just addressing dark-skinned women, you would be still promoting black women as masculine. And you have to understand, much of society doesn't even recognize you differently from brown-skinned black people, or light-skinned black people at that. So, even if you had brown-skinned women who were portrayed as more masculine, and dark-skinned women promoted as more feminine, you have to think as a collective whole, as black women, you're still promoted as masculine. Because when we compare black women to white women, we're not comparing dark-skinned women to white women. We're not comparing brown-skinned women to white women. We're not comparing light-skinned women to white women. We're comparing white women to black women. And that's it. It doesn't have anything to do with color. Color is included on both ends. Light, medium, and dark white women, and light, medium, and dark black women. That's just what it is.
And I can, look, it was a good movie. It was. And something else I want to say real quick. African American dark-skinned women, we're allowed to want our own feminine American dark-skinned woman representation. Okay?
I mean, dude, come on now. You keep making it smaller and smaller. First, it's dark-skinned black women. Then it's dark-skinned women with 4C hair. Then it's dark-skinned 4C hair women with broad, round noses, full lips, high cheekbones, wide eyes that make you look retarded, and no brow ridge. I mean, at this point now, it's all those features added to the fact that now you want to have black women who are basically American. Next thing you know, it's going to be black women who are Southern. Next thing you know, it's going to be black women who are in small cities, or big cities, or rich, or poor. I mean, come on now. This is what I mean about you guys. All you ever want is a constant sense of narcissism here. That's what I'm saying. A constant, exact carbon copy of yourself. Representation isn't your twin. It isn't your biological twin. Representation is simply someone of your own demographic. It doesn't have to be your own skin tone. It doesn't have to have your same nose. It doesn't have to have your same eyes. It doesn't have to have any of those features. It's just someone within your representation in your race. You guys ask for dark-skinned black women are so weird in this way. You expect to be able to represent as black women So then what do you think us women who are not dark-skinned are supposed to say? We're supposed to say, oh, we see you in us as representation, but we need someone who looks exactly like you to represent you. Why is it only you get represented to like the exact example, but you don't see this with light skin, with brown skin, black women? You don't. And you notice this a lot because you don't see light-skinned black women represented with 4C hair often. You don't see light-skinned black women with very broad features represented. You just don't. You know what I mean? You simply don't. And you're saying that you want everything exactly like you because you somehow think you're special. This is a major thing with narcissists. They think everything should cater to them, but they don't consider other people because they are narcissists.
We don't always have to settle for foreign promotion. That's another thing. Like, we don't always have to do that. We don't always have to settle for promotion that is elsewhere. And one thing I really don't like is how a lot of people are gaslighting dark-skinned women for not accepting this representation. I'm hearing a lot of people accuse us of being too radical and, dying on the hill of colorism. And, these are other black women, by the way, who are accusing us of this. Saying that we're overly consumed with colorism just because we have objections to this movie. And I don't appreciate the gaslighting. Because just because we're pointing out the issues with this movie doesn't mean we're overly consumed with colorism and representation. And y'all know that certainly doesn't apply to me. How long has it been since I've been on here? It's been like 9 days. And part of it.
Of course you're obsessed with representation. Because you think that representing you has to be the exact twin of you. Literally, you do. You think the same nose, the same lips, the same cheekbones, the same dark skin, the same 4C hair. Heck, in the natural hair community, a lot of you guys try to promote 4C hair. You guys can't even accept the idea of some people having 4A hair, 4B hair. And we all have 4 hair, but for you guys, you're so narcissistic that you think it's got to be 4C hair. You don't see any other race doing these kind of things. You don't see white people saying they want to see more white people with specifically 3C hair. If someone is happy to see someone who is white with curly hair as maybe a role model for or a hair goal for themselves, they don't seem to specifically say, oh, it's got to be my exact 3C hair. Somebody has 3A hair, that's good enough for them. If someone has 3A hair and another person has 3B hair, that's good enough for them. They all include each other into the curly hair category. You guys can't do that. You guys can't even be comfortable or okay with someone with 4A hair. That's what I mean about you guys. You guys are so narcissistic. This is how you know you're not normal. You're not normal. You're abnormal. Your way of thinking is abnormal. And it's colorist one, and it's insecure, of course. But more than that, it's just like, I think your insecurity and your issue has turned you into having this warped idea of representation that no one else asks for. No other population asks for besides you, dark-skinned black women who are narcissists. I'm not saying all dark-skinned black women are like this. Many dark-skinned black women are normal. Many dark-skinned black women don't even have the phenotype that these weirdos are talking about. Really, seriously, many dark-skinned black women have like a Somali phenotype. Like they have like more of an East African phenotype, or they have like, 3C, 3B hair. you know, and these type of people would never accept those type of people, you know, off of one thing or another like that. If they had a different type of nose or they had a softer curl pattern, they're not going to accept them, and they're not going to say their representation because they have a different feature than them. You know, that's how narcissistic these freaks are. Anyway, continue.
Obviously, I had COVID. It took me out for about a week, you know. But that second week, I just been chilling and recovering and, you know, making up for the first week I lost of all the work I needed to do. You know, so it's like, and I've been decorating my house. I ain't been thinking about colorism. For the last 2 weeks, I ain't been thinking about this shit. So it's like, I've never made my platform for dark-skinned women my entire identity. I come on here, I do my content, and when I'm done, I get off here, I log off, I live my life outside of...
With that in mind, also, who is talking about what you do in your personal life? We're saying your mindset on representation is unhealthy and abnormal. Nobody else does this. You are not one race of your own. A dark-skinned black woman isn't its own race. You guys are so weird that you think dark-skinned black is a race. Dark-skinned black is not a race. Dark skin is just a description. Black is the race. See, you can be black in all those colors I described. Light, medium, or dark. You know, there are plenty of Africans who are light-skinned, you know. Many Igbo people are light-skinned, medium, and dark-skinned. You will see this in their families, and many dark-skinned parents can have light-skinned kids, and light-skinned parents can have dark-skinned kids, you know, in that tribe. And a lot of black Americans, and I know you wouldn't know this, again, this is why non-ADOS black women like you should not be speaking for FBA ADOS black women. Because a lot of FBA black women descend from Nigerian people, Nigerian Igbo people to be exact. That was a big portion of the population of the slave trade in American history in many different states. Particularly Virginia for one, just saying, but many other states as well. So, I mean, like, to me, I just think, like, people should stop trying to act like, you know, oh, it's a particular race. People of different races ask for representation, but they don't specifically say dark white needs to have representation. Light white needs representation. This doesn't happen. You're the only population that asks for that. And like I said, it's just abnormal. Anyway, continue.
You too. And so do most of the dark-skinned women who listen to me. So just because dark-skinned women are critiquing the woman king, it doesn't mean we're, you know, consumed with colorism 24/7. It doesn't mean we don't have nuance. And I'm noticing...
It doesn't matter how often you think about it. It matters that you think this way. Because nobody else thinks this way of any other demographic. Now, the other thing I wanted to point out was, with the woman king, I personally do not support the woman king. I think that the woman king is very, very racist, and it's very hateful to black people. You know, a lot of those British people risk their lives, lay their lives down for the slaves of Africa that were being sold by the Dahomey and sacrificed and murdered and killed by the Dahomey tribe. So, I mean, trying to act like the people who were the bad guys were the European people, they were the actual good people in that situation who were trying to save the slaves' lives from torture and murder. And that's why they were trying to stop them from selling those slaves. So, I mean, like, the fact that they were trying to depict the heroes as the enemy was sickening, honestly. And I just don't really support that. So, I'm definitely in on the whole thing of boycotting that movie because that was disgusting. They should have changed the narrative completely on that movie. But anyway, continue.
A lot of black women in this BWE space, a lot of the quote unquote pioneers, and some of y'all know who I'm talking about, a lot of them are gaslighting dark skinned women for not wanting to see this type of imagery. And I don't like that. And they're saying things like, well, when you learn to love yourself, images like this won't bother you. It's a very slick way of attempting to get dark-skinned women to accept subpar promotion. No, just because we don't like this doesn't mean we don't love ourselves.
The way I see it is, not everything is about you. Why is every movie supposed to be analyzed and pricked and prodded over how black women were represented in the movie? I mean, like, that just seems so narcissistic when it's so much more terrible things that happened in this movie. Particularly the whole thing, like I said, where the people who were trying to save the slaves and protect the slaves from the evil Dahomey tribe were depicted as the evil people when they weren't. They were the people who are actually trying to protect the slaves from being sold by those, slave owning and slave selling Dahomey tribe. That's what was more concerning than that whole thing with, colorism or whatever. Why is it always the focus on someone's skin shade and whether someone's perceived as masculine or not, or whatever? What if people don't give a fuck about what color or how the black woman is portrayed here? Not everyone is focused in on that. Some people are just trying to watch a damn movie.
That is bullshit. Just because we don't like this doesn't mean we're over-consumed with colorism. And why is it that black people can go on and on and on about racism, on and on and on about white supremacy, and they're never accused of being over-consumed in it. They're never accused of wallowing in victimhood. That's another big one, right? But when dark-skinned women are repeatedly vocal about colorism, we need to move on. And if we continue to talk about it, we're accused of allowing colorism to run our lives. And we're making fighting colorism a religion. No. Just be honest and say that you don't want to hear about colorism. But just like you, some of you ladies who are criticizing us, just like you can take time out of your day to talk about racism or sexism or black femicide or divestment and go back to your everyday lives afterward, we can do the same thing with colorism and representation for dark-skinned women. And I'm trying to figure out why other black women are telling dark-skinned women, and only telling dark-skinned women, to shut up about the injustices and problems that we face in this world due to colorism, but they can go on and on about divestment and black femicide.
Because the truth is, life isn't about woe is me, or how bad shit is for me, but I'm not even going to focus on what other women go through. I'm not even going to try and consider, what if other black women deal with exactly what you're talking about? Oh, no. I can only focus on me, because the only time it's bad when an injustice is done is when it's done to me or someone my color. That's that type of mentality. And of course, a lot of black women don't support that, because a lot of black women understand if you want to actually get past the injustices done to black women, well, then you have to address the injustices done to black women. Not just dark-skinned black women, but black women in general. You're never going to fix the problem if you're only focused on a small portion of black women. Because all the other injustices being done to light-skinned and medium-skinned black women isn't even recognized because you're too focused on what happened to you and your own image, because you like to be coddled, because you only see your image, because you have a weird understanding of your race and you think that the only ones within your race are dark-skinned. That's why we cannot just focus on what happened to you. That's why, because most black women don't even look like you. Let's point one thing out. You don't even probably look like the average black American woman, because you're not a black American woman. You're a Jamaican woman. And Jamaican women look very different than black American women. Somehow you want to make your image the standard for us when we don't even look like you on average. Anyway, continue.
And feminism. I don't like that. And, there are successful dark-skinned women, married dark-skinned women, attractive black women who all talk about colorism. So I think it's fair to say that we aren't wallowing in...
No, I've actually heard many dark-skinned black women talk against what you're saying. Pretty dark-skinned black women say that colorism doesn't exist. I've heard some married black women who looked at you kind of like something was wrong with you as well. Yeah, there's a lot of different types of dark-skinned black women who don't agree with you. So don't pretend that. I get so fucking tired of you, because you literally people say and act according to their skin tone. They experience things according to their skin tone. Life isn't even determined by skin tone. Say, for example, race is not determined by skin tone even. There are dark-skinned white people, there are light-skinned black people. Some Caucasians can be very dark and some black people can be very light. So obviously it's not skin tone that's determining any of this shit. This is why colorism never existed. Because we have Indian people who are darker than many dark-skinned black people who are never seen as black because the facial features are not that of a black person. So, to me, it's like, even when you guys try and say colorism exists, it's like, that's why I always say it doesn't exist. Because if it did exist, then we would see it across other races. We would see darker races being treated worse than lighter people of other races. That doesn't happen. A light-skinned black person is treated way worse than an Indian person of any color. The Indian person could be a black as night. That light-skinned black person is still going to be treated as if they're a black person who is as black as night, okay? So, obviously, skin tone has nothing to do with this. It's the connection to the black race. Even when someone doesn't look black, if they claim they're black, they connect themselves to something that people have in their minds that is inferior. So it's not even about facial features at times. Sometimes it's just about what you connected yourself to and what class you connected yourself to and how people view the black race, which has nothing to do with skin tone. It has more to do with servitude, honestly. The history of the black race, being enslaved, put the black race in a certain frame of being inferior. Anyway, continue.
Victimhood, and we aren't allowing colorism to run our lives and ruin our lives or consume us. Just say that you're tired of hearing about colorism. Stop trying to diagnose dark-skinned women with some other shit because you don't want to talk about it. It's gaslighting, and I'm sick of it. Now, let's talk a little bit about The Little Mermaid,
It's not gaslighting at all. It's just telling you the truth, and you don't like the truth because the truth makes you uncomfortable. The truth is you have personal problems with your own skin tone. The truth is you are too narcissistic to see other black women. The truth is, you don't care about the injustices of other black women. You don't care if other black women suffer. And this is why divested black women have an issue with you, because a lot of divested black women actually care about black women, regardless of the color. Because they understand black women, a lot of us experience similar experiences as black women. So we understand that obviously we shouldn't just say it's specific to one color. Only if you're a narcissist who really doesn't care about black women, you just care about yourself and coddling yourself. Anyway, continue.
Put her in the title.
The main duty of the Secretary of State is to administer elections, and Cisco Aguilar is running to defend...
Sorry.
I don't want to do any type of review until the movie comes out, because I don't know what's in it, okay? This is just literally a sneak peek. But I wanted to talk about this a little bit because I do find it interesting that this movie dropped right around the time when they released a sneak peek. The Woman King dropped right around the time they released a sneak peek of a lighter skin. Some of you call her, light brown, whatever. Little.
Originally, when you made your first video about this 3 years ago, you called her light brown. You never called her light skin. See how you changed your way of calling people different colors? Before, you did not see her as an outsider. Now you do, because you've fed into that narcissist inside of you further and further and further as you exclude more black women over and over and over again. Anyway,
Mermaid,
continue.
right? And again, like I said earlier, they found 1 million dark-skinned women to play in The Woman King, but couldn't find a dark-skinned woman to play Little Mermaid. And I love Halle, but I had to call it out. There is a reason why they didn't cast a little dark-skinned mermaid, okay?
Even though a second ago you called her brown-skinned. You didn't even call her light brown. You called her a brown-skinned black woman. And you associated her a lot with other black women. Let's be honest. There's content creators who have called Halle Bailey dark-skinned. And these are actually people who weren't even dark-skinned. I even have it on one of my videos, who specifically described her as dark-skinned. White people see her as dark-skinned. This is why people many of the time will confuse people like Halle Berry, for example, or Halle Bailey, with someone like Kelly Rowland, basically in color. These type of people in that range, I'm just saying, literally overlap, skin tone-wise. So you can't say that people were trying to say that she was acceptable because of her skin tone, especially when people can't tell the difference.
And let's just be honest, with the way white people are reacting to Halle, they're pushing it with Halle. She's even too dark for most white people, right? But they certainly weren't going to cast anyone darker than Halle. And again, they didn't put any Halle Bailey complected black women in The Woman King either. Okay? So there is a reason.
The thing is, I actually heard somebody point out that they had black women of all shades in The Woman King. Not like it matters. Like I said, there's more problems with the fact of depicting slave owners as a positive force and entity simply because they have brown skin, as more problematic than what color were people. Now, the more important thing I wanted to say out of here was, if people can't tell Halle Bailey's color from a dark-skinned black person, and considering white people have a hard time being able to tell her skin tone from theirs, it's quite easy that most likely they didn't even recognize she wasn't dark-skinned. So saying that she's not visibly able to be seen as dark-skinned by white people is ignorant, because a lot of white people don't see her skin tone any different than a dark-skinned black woman. Actually, I've depicted 2 people on my channel who specifically called her dark. And I've seen plenty of other people who said she was dark skinned. And now that I think of it, of all shades too, I think I saw like 2 people. One was a dark skinned person, one was a lighter skinned person, another person was white. Quite a few people have called her dark, and they're just saying in comparison to white people. Yes, she is dark, and she is closer in complexion to dark-skinned women than white people of any shade. Anyway, continue.
White people are praising the woman king and the masculine depiction of black women, but mad as hell about a black feminine Ariel. Like, y'all need to really see the game that's being played. They prefer femininity on white skin, and sometimes beige skin if she's half white.
That's not true. Beige skin, I don't think they do. You mean sometimes when they're Hispanic maybe, or distantly Asian, that's because they think they can pass them off as white. Someone who is part black, they don't think that because they already think that person is too tainted to be pushed off as white. This is why they don't have legitly looking Asian or Hispanic people who are black playing those roles. Like I was specifically saying how Zendaya Coleman should play most likely more Asian or Hispanic roles, but people had a fit by that because of her being part black, right? And they feel like she is tainted from playing those roles, even though she looks that way and she looks very racially similar to them. That's what I'm saying. You have to understand, blackness is more than its color. The power of its disgust to some people is way more than just a color. It's a connection to your blood. This is why they had the whole idea of tainted blood, basically. Because it never had anything to do with the skin tone. It had to do with blackness having to do with slavery, which had to do with Africa, which meant that you were tainted. Continue.
And, just a side note, I feel like, do y'all feel like they're kind of sabotaging? I don't want to talk too much about this because I haven't seen the movie. Maybe it's just this particular still shot, but why does Halle look like a dusty mermaid? Maybe it's just the scene. Maybe because, she's singing about something sad. But they're not even making Halle look as feminine and glamorous as she should look as a mermaid. Why is the red hair color so dull? Where is the bedazzled, multicolored sparkles or jewels on the fin? I expected to see something a little bit more glamorous. Where are her eyebrows? Like, what's going on here? I'm gonna get canceled. Y'all gonna cancel me. I'm canceled. Look, maybe it's just this scene. I don't want to speak prematurely, and I'm not saying she has to look perfect or anything like that. But based on this photo, it doesn't appear, and this is what I'm talking about. Y'all got to know the game. I'm not saying she looks bad, but I'm saying compared to the other live action princesses, I feel like they kind of doing her dirty a little bit. I do. Based on this one picture, maybe the rest of the film she's glammed up and the hair color is a little bit more red and all that, but based on this, it looks like they're even doing her dirty with this depiction, and so it's like Hollywood is never going to get black women and their representation correct. It doesn't really matter what shade they are. They're never going to get it 100% right intentionally. They're never going to get it right.
Yet you don't care about that. And that's the thing. And this is an important thing to notice. Your behavior is what basically helps people sabotage black women because you aren't going to care about her image. You want to go on and constantly talk about women who are dark-skinned, and specifically women who are very dark-skinned, like Lupita's color, for example, much darker than her. And you want to try and say that that image has to be preserved. So then what they know is that they can do someone like this dirty, and they can destroy your image by using her image to destroy and vicariously destroy you. So even if you're saying that you don't want dark-skinned black women to be presented negatively, if you're not going to pay attention to how light-skinned and brown-skinned women are presented, you're going to be represented negatively by those women. They can easily use those women and use them as a bad image, which will tell the audience to view you negatively because they see you and them the same. They're not going to think, oh, negatively of light-skinned and medium-skinned black people and then think positively of dark-skinned people. They would think it of all of black people. So just saying that we need to put light-skinned and brown-skinned black women under the bus or not care about their image, but only care about black women who are dark-skinned is self-sabotaging. But you are so narcissistic that you will never recognize this because you're not smart enough to realize this.
They're always going to make a way for white women to undermine black women. Always. And be clear, it's not their job to make us look good. I'm just pointing out the games that they play. They're going to use women like Hallie to undermine dark-skinned women and our femininity, and they're going to make women like Hallie less desirable, and less flattering than white women. It's a hierarchy here. It's a game they're playing here. Okay? And so I just wanted to point that. And look, maybe, again, I could be wrong about The Little Mermaid. After I see it, I'll come back and, talk about it, and maybe I'm wrong. Okay? But I feel if she was white, they would have glammed her up a little bit more. Maybe she is I hope she is in other parts of the film. Because right now, this ain't it. I need some more glam. I need you to do her like you would do a white mermaid. That's all I'm saying. I need to see that. And so hopefully they do that in the film. But my point here is when you look at all of this stuff together, right? It should make you side-eye this shit, okay? It should make you side-eye it. All of it. The Woman King, The Little Mermaid, all of it. Yeah, look, all I'm saying is that this is not even red. This is like a sandy brown. I was expecting her locks to be red. Maybe not a cherry red, but, something a little bit more darker and deeper. This is not it. It's not it. So...
And that's what I'm saying. If you understand that you think that white people will undermine your image by presenting lighter-skinned, medium-skinned black women negatively, why would you say that, we need to focus on dark-skinned black women's image being promoted properly? Because what I'm trying to say here is that you're going to be undermined and diminished by other colors, other complexions of black women. If it's understood that it's okay to depict light-skinned and medium black women negatively just because you're jealous of them, it's going to backfire on you, and people are going to see you negatively too, because you are associated with light-skinned and medium-skinned black women. They might even think of you as worse in some regards, if they're more on the colorist spectrum of things. And if you're really going by the ideology that light-skinned and brown-skinned black women are less feminine or less attractive, less desirable, more ghetto or whatever because they're darker than white women, then of course that would work for you as well, since you are even darker than a light-skinned or medium black woman. So you should have an issue with any bad depiction of representation or promotion of black women. All black women should be your interest, but because you're narcissistic, you can't pay attention to this. And I want to end in saying that it's not specific that dark-skinned black women would be treated worse than Halle Bailey has been treated. The reason why we know this is because look at Brandy in Cinderella. Not a peep, because she was dark-skinned. See, dark skin has protection. And I've said this over and over again. Dark skin has protection because dark-skinned black women and dark-skinned black people will protect their own more than they'll protect someone like Halle Bailey's color. They will let her sit out to dry, basically. They just let her hang out to dry because they don't feel enough of a connection to her because they're too narcissistic. You see, women like this are too narcissistic to stand up for women that have their own interests because they are their own representation, but because they're so dumb that they don't realize it's their own representation, they let them hang out to dry, and not understanding that you're letting themselves out to dry in the long run. So that's all I have to say in this video. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and comment down below. Have a great day. Bye.